Okay, thanks. Yes, Ted.
What was the first assignment you gave to a prison classroom?
Gosh, Ted.
I just like, you know, like.
No, that's a great question. You know, I started teaching creative writing in prison, and I had no license to do that, I might add. You know, I had never, you know, there was no reason for me to be doing that other than I wanted to be a writer, and I thought that would be an interesting initiative. I hadn't taught, I had no writing credentials. And the truth of the matter is, Ted, I don't really remember what I had them do at all. When I would go into prisons with Fielding Dawson later, and this is much later, he would just say to them, "How's this for a prompt? How do you feel today? You know, how do you feel today?" And amazingly enough, they would have a lot to say about that. I think because that question was shocking to them, that often in a prison, no one ever asks you how you feel. They might say, "How are you doing?" or "What's up?" or "What it is," but how do you feel? So I don't remember. We published, and Joan was in on this caper too, we published a couple of, you know, saddle-stitched anthologies of things that they had decided to write. And a lot of them were writing already, you know. It wasn't unusual for them to be carrying notebooks around, guys who would sketch or guys who would be writing whatever they were writing. Anybody else?
Yeah.
Yeah, Ron.
I know that you worked with Fielding Dawson toward the end of his career, so as to say, and that essentially was the last of the Black Mountain Poets, wasn't it?
Gosh, Ron, I think so. Well, Creeley outlived Fielding. Fielding died in 2002, in January of 2002. And I don't remember, when did Creeley die, Ron? In 2007 or 8, maybe?
Something like that. He had gone out to the New Mexico area.
Right. But that was kind of a shock. Fielding went into the hospital for a procedure and, you know, was due home that afternoon. It was one of those freak things where something goes awry. But he was one of the very last ones. He was only 70 years old, I think, too.
Jonathan Williams.
Yeah, Jonathan Williams. But I guess the rest of the high, you know, the canonical guys, Olson was gone, and Oppenheimer was gone, and Duncan was gone by then, you know. Michael Rumacher is still alive, I know that. And I guess Dorn, I don't know when Edward Dorn, you know, but a lot of those guys are just the Black Mountain students who are still alive are just very old, you know. If you think that the college went from 1933 to 1956, and a lot of them were 18, even the people that came in late were 18 years old, you know, 58 years ago. So a lot of them are getting, you know, pretty old, and that's the other reason why that culture and that history really has to be preserved, because the living subjects are just not going to be around very much longer. So.
Dorn was one of the earlier ones to die. He always looked so young.
Yeah, he did.
And
yeah.
He's just blink. He used to come here quite often.
Right.
More than most.
Yeah. Anybody else? Well, thanks again for coming. It's such a great pleasure to be here. I think I have the authority to dismiss. Do I have the authority to dismiss?